I need you, girl. I really wanna know your name.
Welcome to Intimate Conversations. This is a place where we have dialogue and, you know, try to find common ground, listen to your perspectives, and try to grasp a hold of understanding. So what is your name and how old are you?
Aisha, and I'm 44.
Okay, and where are you from?
I'm from Southwest Philly. I reside in Delco now, but I'm a Southwest Philly chick.
Okay, so what would you say is the difference in Southwest and other parts of Philly?
Well, the first difference is we're the realest of them all. Let that be known. No diss to any other part of the city, but Southwest got the most realest, humblest, dopest people ever. And we're very close-knit. Wherever you grew up, whether it be a little further up Southwest, a little further down Southwest, we still was all a clique, all a gang, so.
Okay, we're gonna start from the beginning. So, what was your childhood based in? Like, did you grow up in a single parent household? Did you grow up with siblings? How was your childhood upbringing?
Okay, so I am the youngest of 5. My mother was married, but then she divorced, and then I came along later. So my 3 brothers and my sister are significantly older than me, and I was the baby. So by the time I really started becoming of age, my brothers and sisters were pretty much gone. My sister had left for college, and my brothers had already moved to the West Coast. They all live in Cali since they were like 10 or 11. So pretty much I was raised like a, like, you know, just like an only child, pretty much.
So did you always have your own room? Like, how did that flow?
I always had my own room. There was a small period of time where I did share a room with my sister because we were in a house. We had to go to an apartment. And then me and my sister had to share a room there because it was a 2-bedroom. And then we moved back to a house, but my sister was already gone by then. So I was back to having my own room again, which was pretty dope.
Okay, so would you say this was like middle class, upper class, where did you be able to get everything you wanted? How was that?
Yeah, so pretty middle class. Again, I got the lucky end of the stick. I promise you, because my sisters and them, like, they were raised. My mom lived in the projects with them, so she was lower class. You know what I mean? She was lower class at that point in time. But by the time I, like, again became of age, she was well off, like a little better off. So we were middle class. I got whatever I want. I was a spoiled brat. Shout out to Mom. Thank you, Mom. But yeah, I pretty much got everything I wanted. Like, I didn't really want for much.
Okay. So it was just you and Mom's at a certain point. So as a child, did you miss having a father around? Did you think about that? Was that anything, you know, that was on your mind, or were you just enjoying your childhood? You didn't really think about it?
Yeah. I'm not going to say that I didn't think about it, but I do remember there were periods of time where that wasn't on my mind. I think maybe around my 15th, maybe even 16th birthday, I started really thinking about my dad. I started, like, looking for pictures, asking my mom questions. My high school friends had their dads in their lives, and it really was a sore spot for me. And so I really began to question, and I didn't really get far with the answers. So I just had to kind of push them out of my mind yet again.
Because moms be like, stay in a child's place.
Facts. And that's what my mom did for sure. Like, you know, what you worried about that for? Ain't no need. It's better like this. So I wound up just putting the shit back in the back of my mind yet again.
All right, so we speak about this thing called, like, pretty privilege. So as a child going through high school and middle school, Were you sitting at the cool kids table? Were you sitting at the regular kids table? Or were you at the weird kids table?
I was always a part of the cool kids table. Like,
did you know that this was a thing when you were going through it?
Not until high school. Like middle school, junior high. Like, I didn't realize it. It wasn't on the forefront. It wasn't until I got into high school that I knew it was that shit, and I knew that's where the fuck I needed to be.
Right.
And that's where I wanted to be.
Right.
And I was almost the head of the cool kids table. No, I'm just joking.
Okay, so when did you, for a lack of better words, come off the porch? When did you get interested in boys?
I'm going to say around 15 was my mark. Like, yeah, of course, 11, 12, ooh, I had a little crush and all of that stuff, but really, really talking to boys, engaging with them more, yeah, I'm going to say like 15.
Okay, and what was your, your starting point? Like, when did you become a woman?
So, yeah, I became a woman at 15 as well. So as soon as I hopped off the steps, I was hopping on something. But yeah, so my son's father was like my first boyfriend, kind of started when I started hopping off the steps. He's from Southwest too, so it was, pretty easy to run into him and to meet him. Yeah, that was my first. That's when I became a woman, and not too long after that became a mama.
Was this a conversation you ever had with your mom? Did you ever have the sex conversation with your mom?
I'm gonna say in so many words it was mentioned, and it went to the tune of, don't fucking bring no babies home or that's your ass.
But there was never a, this is how sex goes, you should wear condoms, X, Y, and Z. There's never that kind of a conversation.
It wasn't a conversation, a sit-down conversation such as that. Yes, she always told me to protect myself. But it wasn't an open communication about how things should really go and how to, and what not to do. Not how to do, but and what not to do. So, yeah, no.
So do you feel like your father not being around, do you feel like that played a part in the way you got attention from guys?
Absolutely. It absolutely 110 positively % did. Yeah. Because, like for me, not having my dad around was more or less what I found later to be abandonment issues, and I kind of felt like I needed to gravitate towards men to feel wanted, to feel even needed at times, you know what I mean? So absolutely, that affected me a whole hell of a lot. And if he was in my life, I probably would be a little different, and things probably would a little different.
And what is the age gap between you and your baby father?
He is he's 4 years older than me. He's 4 years older than me, so he's almost 50 now.
Right. So when you met him, how old were you?
He was 19.
Right.
Yeah, so he was a little older, and of course I'm younger, a little naive. He was a big drug dealer in the city.
But this was a normal thing.
This was a normal thing. Like, I saw him roll by with the booming system, and of course, young girl, I was in awe.
So you having this older boyfriend, how did you look at the boys your age that liked you?
Like, they couldn't do much for me.
They didn't have a chance.
They didn't really have a chance, and it's crazy because I did have a boyfriend before him. I did. It was a high school, but it was nothing. It was just, crush, and we flirted and all of that stuff. And he was my age. Obviously, we was in the same grade, but it was just not the same. When I met Steve, like, you know what I mean? It was, this is it. this is what I need to be doing. He can buy me things. He got a banging car. Like, those were the things that were important to me at that time.
So do you feel like that was a love thing, or that was a situational thing?
Yeah, that was situational, totally infatuation. And at that time, like in the 90s, being a drug dealer, booming system,
that was a thing.
Big pockets full of money, big earrings, get whatever you want. That was the thing. Like, and not that it was a good thing. I'm not glorifying that. I'm just saying, like, that was the thing. And that's what I gravitated to at that young age.
So how long were y'all together?
We were together, I'm gonna say about 6 years. Yeah, till I was about 21. So about 6 years.
And what was the reason for the breakup?
Yeah, he pretty much went to jail for a long time. He did about, he got an 8 to 16 year sentence, and he kind of just was snatched out of our lives. And not only that, we had infidelity issues and stuff too at that time. I wasn't sure. I never was for certain, and then he got locked up. So we were already rocky because I didn't really know what was happening, what was going on. He was so fly and flashy. I didn't really know. So maybe if he didn't get locked up, we might have still broken up anyway. But yeah, he did 8 to 16 years.
So how was that relationship before he got locked up? Like, was there any verbal abuse, domestic abuse? What was that relationship like?
Nope, the relationship was great.
Okay.
It was great. He wasn't verbally abusive. He wasn't physically abusive. Like I said, there were questions of infidelity. That was the only thing. And so possibly he was a liar.
Right. He was a liar.
He could have been a liar. Probably was a liar. No, I'm just joking. But that was pretty much the only tiffs we had, like, of that caliber. But nothing else. It was so easy.
Okay, so he gets locked up and he goes to jail. You're now a single mom. How does this play out for you? What does your life look like now?
Yeah, I am. I become a certified medical assistant at that time because I had to get into some sort of program quick. I was being taken care of, like, pretty much, you know. I was 20, about to be 21. I ain't have no worries, for real. I had a little apartment. I was doing cool. I had to hurry up, get into like a quick program, became a certified medical assistant, and I just hustled. I had a kid to take care of. And even though my mom was there to help me, God, thank you, God, for her, because she helped me so much with my son, that I was able to shake and move like I was able to as far as work. I didn't have to worry about babysitters too much. My family was tight-knit, and you know, I just hustle to try to take care of this kid that I wasn't getting no help from now otherwise.
So being a single mom, how do you think that affected your son?
I think it affected him a lot, but not in the younger years. I think it affected him a lot when he became a man. I wanted to protect him. I wanted to smother him. I wanted to give what I thought he was missing. Like, you know, his dad wasn't around. Those, because of the choices that I made as a mother. You know what I mean? So I felt guilty in a lot of ways. And I just, like, smothered him, spoiled him rotten, and made him sort of dependent on me in a sense. Because I didn't want him to want for anything or need anything or feel like he was lacking.
So at this point, you know, who was your support? Who was your safety net? Like, how did you get self-care for yourself when you were being a single mom?
What's that? I'm gonna be honest. Like, that's all I know a lot of the times, and I have to, like, talk to myself even now, like, you know what I mean, to try to find self-care somewhere in there. I just kept pushing. I don't think I even knew what self-care was at that point in time. I just kept fucking moving.
So were you even dating?
I was not. I wasn't. I didn't have time. Like, of course, it was people that I saw and that I dealt with. Nothing serious. And we talked about that too in experience. Remember, I said I only had a few people that I've really ever been in relationships with or been with. I just really didn't have time to indulge in it. So,
So as you become older and you're a single parent, is this the time that you start thinking about your father's absence?
Yes. Not initially at first, but when I became 30, it did. Steven started getting older. I started getting older. I hit the 30-year mark, and I'm just like, this is crazy. I'm gonna find this nigga. Where he at?
Right.
And I wound up finding him when I was 30.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so when you first initially found him, what was that initial meeting like?
Yeah, that was wild. It was kind of wild because there's so many fucking emotions going through my mind. Like, I wanted to beat this nigga up. I wanted to smack the shit out of him. Like, it literally was a roller coaster for me. I cried. I was angry. I had so many questions. I didn't even know where to fucking begin. So it was a clusterfuck of a first meeting.
Did he give you any kind of reason that made sense for you?
No, he told me I was going to the grave with it, which further puts me in a space with him, because that's not some shit you say. Like, I didn't get an apology, you know, I didn't get a reason why. Oh, I'm lying. He did say because he just wasn't. He didn't know what was going on with himself at that time either. He was young and he was dumb and getting out of a marriage or on a break from his marriage. And I kind of popped up and, you know, it just kind of was a situation that he couldn't tend to.
Right.
So, yeah, I had issues with that.
So where does the relationship sit now?
We text daily. Other than that, the relationship does nothing.
Would you want more?
I would have wanted more, but he doesn't. This might sound fucked up. He doesn't prove to me worthy for more. He doesn't seem remorseful. He doesn't seem like he really cares. So I don't really care either.
Okay, so without your father being present, did you feel unprotected?
Now that's T. I've never thought of that, right? At first response, I'm going to say no. My mom never let me, as a woman, and that's just how strong of a woman she was. She was pretty strong.
Right.
I felt always protected. Even when my brothers wasn't around, like, I still felt protected by my family members, by the male figures in my family, etc. But the more and more I would think about it, I'm going to say, yes, I was vulnerable. I wasn't protected without him. Like, you know what I mean? Because a father provides a different sort of protection that no other man can do that's in your circle. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm going to say I was very unprotected out here. Absolutely.
Okay, and who would you say was the first man to hurt you, either physically or verbally? Who was the first man that hurt you, and how did that play out?
So another Southwest Philly dude who was also a big time drug dealer, whose name I will not say. That was the first person that ever hurt me negatively. He was physically abusive. He was verbally abusive. He was also married and I didn't know. And just me being young, dumb, and naive, here we go again, in regards to wanting to be with somebody who was in the street, in the light, and able to give me and provide for me what I wanted. I just kept ignoring those red flags. You know what I mean?
All right, so how does this start? Does this start with the verbal abuse and then lead to physical abuse? How does that play out?
Yeah, it started out verbally, and it was more or less, just being disrespectful, right? And then it became points in time where he would get so angry because, as we all know, I don't shut the fuck up. And I'm going to say what I want to say. And then he just he wasn't having it. Now, that didn't happen often because I am not one to be able to really live in that for long periods of time. So it ended very abruptly and very bad. Like, I had to move. I had to get another job. I had to really get myself off the radar to get away from him at a young age. And then again, my family had to step in somewhat in that situation as well. So, but yeah, it started out verbal and then progressed to physical.
So in a physical situation, what happens afterwards? Like, is there a shot and then there's an apology like a couple days later? How does the whole altercation play out? Or is it like a couple days later, we just act like it didn't happen?
Yeah, he was one of those. He act like it didn't happen. He was also, what I started realizing about him, because there's a lot of things about him that I didn't know. He was a pancake and syrup guy. So he was high.
Right.
And a lot of the times when he was high, he wasn't around me. So I didn't really get a chance to see that part, but I started to begin to notice that the times of his anger or the times of his more verbal abuse or the physical abuse, he was high. You know what I mean? And so that attributed to a lot of the shit. And so he wouldn't remember it. Right. He wouldn't remember it. The next couple days, he'd be like, what's wrong with you? Or why you got the bruise on your leg? Or, nigga, what?
So, have you had any contact with him, like, years later just to see if he would apologize?
Oh, no. He unfortunately is in jail for double homicide. I don't know if he ever getting out. He does. I do track him. He has some appeal processes and stuff going on. But I don't know. Like, I would never want to talk to him. Like, he's one of those dudes that I would never want to. I'm gonna be honest. I'm lucky to be sitting here being able to talk because he's one of those.
Right. So if he reached out and wanted to apologize, would that be something that you would entertain?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know. I would say no. I would say no, but as humans, we all grow. We all get older. We see the mistakes of our past and we want to make right with a lot of people and a lot of things. So I can see it, and I just don't know if I would be open to it.
All right, you also had mentioned before that you had a situation where you were touched. Mm-hmm. Is that something that, like, was that somebody you knew? Was that, where did that situation, like, how did that come about?
So yeah, it was actually my neighbor. So the people that lived next door to us had
How old were you at the time?
I was like 7.
Okay.
She had 3 sons and a daughter. Her and my mom were very close. I was close. He was my best friend. I was close with the youngest son. And I used to be over there all the time. It was not abnormal. Like, I damn near lived there. And the oldest brother, not even soon off, but years after me being family and dug in. Like, I don't know. He just maybe I changed to him. Maybe I started getting older, or I started developing and he started seeing me in a different light. I don't know, like, what light bulb went off in him to make it to make it weird. But yeah, he just, like, without reliving it, like, it's just like one of the times I was over there, he called me into the room and then, he just began to, like, touch me. It was never no penetration or nothing like that, thank the Lord.
Right. Okay, did you tell anybody, or is this
I did not tell my mom until I didn't tell her until like years later. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because our families were so close. Our mothers were best friends. And as a child, even knowing that something is wrong, this be the shit that I'm talking about with like abandonment issues. Because I did not want that to break up
Right.
the family
Right.
that I had acquired, my best friend.
Right.
I wouldn't be able to play with him no more. I wouldn't be able to do whatever. So I did make it where as though that it didn't continue to happen, because I just made it like I didn't want to go over there anymore, and my best friend would come over. So I didn't spend the night anymore. Like, at least I was smart enough
Right.
to be able to stop that from happening, you know what I mean, continuously. But I didn't tell my mom until later. And of course, you know, she was upset that I didn't tell her.
Right.
You know what I mean? That I didn't tell her sooner.
Okay, so how did you handle that mentally? Like, did that weigh on you for, you know, for a while?
Yeah, being like, you know, being a kid, our thought process is so fucking different. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? So I knew it was wrong. I knew that it wasn't supposed to be happening, but I didn't think of what it was doing to me, like what had just happened, the severity of what had happened, how long I would be living with that, what it did to me, opening up sexual feelings at an early age.
Right.
I didn't see the residual effects of it at that point in time like I do now.
Right. So, how do you feel like that played a part in your, you know, how you feel sexually? Do you think that kick-started your sexual, like,
Yep.
urges?
Absolutely. I think it did, because even though, like, obviously I didn't have sex, but it made me curious. Like, I then soon after started watching porn. Like, I started touching myself. Like, my exploration began a lot younger than it probably would have in any other sense.
Right.
Up until that point, I ain't really know shit about none of that.
Right.
You see? So, yeah, it definitely made a difference.
So, do you feel like it kind of took a piece of your innocence and your childhood?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And how do you carry it now mentally?
I guess now, you know, I can't say anything other than that I don't know how I carry it as just such a stepping stone, as a learning experience. You know, I've released a lot of the anger and the bitterness that I felt for so long when I was able to fully understand and process what had happened. At 6 or 7, you know something bad has happened, but you don't understand the severity of it. So as I've traveled through adulthood and womanhood, and I see the shit that it really, really unfolded, what it did to me, you know what I mean?
Would you want an apology?
No.
Do you feel like that plays a part in how you trust men?
Possibly. Because I am one, I try not to carry things over. I try to let every man stand on their own too, and let them show me exactly what they about. And I try not to impose my other issues on a man, you know, coming in the gate. And I like to allow them to show me what's what. So I can't possibly, but I can't say for certain that it causes trust issues for me.
Okay, at what age did you know that, because you're upfront about being a sexual person.
Yeah.
You know, like when I first came across you, I would be like, yo, Isha's like a dominatrix.
Right.
So, at what age did you know, like, my shit is a little bit different?
I'm going to say I didn't really get into that vibe until about 35. I didn't get into that shit until like after I got divorced. And then I was like...
So once you got divorced, it was like, it's up. It's up now. Like, I want to try some shit.
Yeah, once I got divorced, it was like, it's up.
Right.
For sure. For sure.
So how did you feel even being married, though? Like, how was married life for you?
Married life was cool. It wasn't too bad. He just, again, I think I've talked about this before, like, we still had like a lot of love for one another. It just, he didn't want to grow. So I didn't have bad aspects of marriage. We just wasn't on the same page any longer.
Is that something that you want?
Huh?
Do you want to be married again?
Now, I don't know if I want to be married again now. I don't know if I want to be married again now because, you know, it was a lot.
Right.
You know what I mean? It definitely, marriage is hard work. And I don't want to put hard work into something and the person is not going to grow with it.
Right.
Like, that's waste of fucking energy and time for me. So I don't know if I want it. Like, if it happens, it happens.
Okay, so because you have Raw Honey, so explain what Raw Honey is to the people and what that means to you.
So Raw Honey is my baby. I started it in 2015, again after divorce. I wanted to experience and allow other people to experience sexual exploration. So toys is the best way to do that. And so I came up with that idea. I named the baby, I started the baby, and I've just been trying to groom it ever since. So, you know, just sexual education, sex toys, sexploration, whatever you want to call it.
So tell the people what the website is and what do you have for sale.
So it's rawhoneydrip.com. You can go on. Again, I don't work under any other company. All of the products are my own. I purchased them. So I don't answer to anyone. So it's the typical dildos, Benoit balls, all oil, massage oils, etc., vibrators, ropes, and you know, I definitely want to grow my products more and more and more, and you know, that just takes time, of course.
What's your #1 seller and what's your personal favorite?
So the #1 sellers are always the vibrators, the roses, the clitoral stimulators are the #1 sellers. Those are also my favorite as well. Any of them.
Right.
Every last single one.
Right.
But the rose is like the #1 seller. They don't even get up on the website. Like, as soon as I get 6 or 7 in, they are gone.
Being as though you have Raw Honey, do guys look at you in a certain type of way? Like, well, since she sells sex toys, maybe I could just slide in and smash. How do guys see you because you have Raw Honey?
Right. I will say that there are some people that will try that approach. But if you notice me, even like talking to me a little bit, like, you'll see I'm a little different. Like, I'm a little like more refined in a sense. And that shit don't pop off like after the first 2 or 3 lines. Like, you can try it, but then they be switching up their tune real quick when they see really what it's about. Cause yeah, I'm a little different. And I ain't no problem putting you in your place just because you see a certain thing. I don't carry myself that way. So I don't give a fuck what I sell. Like, you know what I mean? You're going to come like you're supposed to.
Right. So how do you feel about your everyday occurrences of attention?
I mean, that's been since I was little, so it's nothing to me right now. Like, you know, I try not to pay too much attention to it. Like, I try to like not let it get to me in any way, shape, or form, or let it go to my head. Like, I don't let it go to my head. I don't.
And what would be the worst? Like, have you ever had a stalker? How did that play out?
Yeah, I had a stalker. Yeah, the stalker was the crazy guy. He was the stalker. Like, you know, it was crazy. I literally had to change my whole life. So he wound up being a lot of things for me, like a lot of firsts. But the other stalkers ain't that bad.
They not that bad.
Yeah, they're not really stalkers. They just
Admirers.
can't stop, won't stop.
Right.
You know, they can't stop, won't stop. Like, they just will not quit. So yeah, it's a lot of those.
All right. So, what would you say is your personal best asset and worst quality or trait?
I think my best asset would have to be that I am super loving. Like, I am super loving. And I think love, as we know, is the mender and the healer of all. So that's my best attribute, because I'm a lover and I'm going to love on anybody that is around me. I would have to say my worst is that I'm a little too giving. Like, I be a little over the top, and some people don't even deserve it. So I haven't found a good medium and a good space for me to be in juggling that. So I'm working on it, though.
Okay, so where do you stand now? Are you in a situation? Are you looking for a situation? Are you just chilling? Where do you stand?
Where am I at? Well,
Yeah.
we all know that I have my best friend and business partner, Tess.
Right.
That I am, you know what I mean, currently going through life and business with, etc. But as far as a relationship and stuff, I know that that's a difficult space for certain people, especially business people. We know that I got family issues going on, my mom, my son, myself, and business-minded and business-savvy people, they don't be looking for relationships for the drama purposes. Like, ain't nobody want no drama and shit. But I could definitely see myself in a relationship when the time is right. I can definitely see myself possibly getting married again if it's right. But right now it's about this money and trying to get to this money.
Right. So how are you keeping your sanity between, you know, your family issues with your mom and your son? How are you keeping your sanity?
I'm not.
You already crazy out this joint?
Yeah, I'm already crazy out this joint. Like, you know, I do what I need to do. I'm always going to show up together, front and center, like nothing ain't going on. But, you know, behind closed doors, I got a lot of shit that I'm dealing with, you know. So I don't really know if I'm sane right now, but I'm putting on a damn good show.
Right. All right, so as we wrap this up, I want to say, what is your thoughts on the gender wars? What is your solution? I want a solution for, like, I want you to say, I need men to do this and I need women to do this. What is your solution on each side?
Oh, that's a good one. Okay. I need men to have a little more patience, because I can't say have better communication skills. I can't say have better compassion, you know, because that's all conditional. That's all based on that particular man. What I can say is that men should try to acquire just a tad bit more patience with women. Because it's difficult for us sometimes. We don't always see the error in our ways or the things that we do and how it can affect y'all. So I will say patience. Women, do the work. Do the work. Get to do the work inside first. And I think that's where a lot of our shit fails, because we kind of sweep shit. We so strong and we sweep a lot of shit under the rug, and we don't address the issues within ourselves first that spill over into our relationships, that make us more emotional, that make us show that pain and we take it out, we lash out in many different ways. It don't have to be direct lashing, but we lashing out and holding on to a lot of shit. So I would say do the work, do the shadow work, break down and get to the brunt of who you are. Once you are able to do that, then a lot of the relationship shit, when you come into contact with a good man, it's gonna be so much easier.
Okay, do you know who you are and what you want to be, or is this a work in progress?
I'm still a work in progress. I'm probably going to forever be a work in progress. Why? Because I'm learning something new about myself every single day. Once I learn something new in the universe per day, I'm learning something then new about myself. So I think I'm going to forever be a work in progress. I don't think I'm ever going to know specifically. I know what I want, and that is just peace and harmony in every aspect of my life. But as far as who I am, do I know who I am? I think I'm going to be ever evolving. So I'll never know fully.
All right, my final question is, what would be a question that you would like to ask men, being as though women, you know, sometimes they're in situations where they don't feel either safe or comfortable, or they don't know how this is going to come back to them. If you know, is this going to be met with resistance? Is this going to be an argument? Whatever this may be, what is your question to? Like, what would you want to ask a man?
What's the reason for not allowing vulnerability to enter into the space? Because a lot of times men don't want to display vulnerability in order to allow a woman to be expressive, right? And that's not all the time the case, but I feel like a man sometimes, and I'm gonna say sometimes, a man wants to always be the man, and he always wants to be in control and empowered, not of her, but of himself. And vulnerability and opening up and allowing space to listen, to learn, to accept what she's saying without taking it as a nag or a complaint or whatever. That all falls under vulnerability. Because if he wasn't afraid of being vulnerable, then he would take the time to like listen and open up to her. So allow you to be, give her that safe space. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. So that would be the question. Why not allow vulnerability into the space?
I would say the reason why men don't allow themselves to be vulnerable or allow the women to be vulnerable is because it's something that they don't know about. It's uncharted like territory. Mm-hmm. This is not something that we grow up experiencing or going through or even have to deal with in our like previous relationships.
Right.
So a lot of times that's a new space that you're asking a man to walk into. So that could be either something that he's fearful of or something that he just doesn't know how to handle.
Right. And I get that. I definitely get it. But I feel like too, like, you know, we all of us, men and women, I think the only way for it to mesh and come together as a full unit is going to be for each party to work on those uncomfortable conversations.
Right. I'm not giving them an excuse. I'm just telling you.
Oh yeah.
What's behind it.
Right.
So in that instance, like you said, we have to be patient with each other.
Yes.
And also, the same way you want him to be a safe space for you, you have to be a safe space for him.
Yep. And people can't create those safe spaces because they ain't safe with themselves.
Facts.
That's you know, our whole argument too. Sometimes people are not doing the work. We have to do the work. All of us have so much emotional baggage and layers and layers and layers of us that we're still peeling back. Right. But each time you peel back apart, you gotta mend it. Like, you gotta do some work to repair what it is that you're uncovering when you peel back those layers. Because otherwise, shit is just still going to happen, and it's going to be a never-ending cycle of nonsense. So, you know, I feel like for us to get on one accord, everybody has to put in the work.
Thanks. All right, I want to say thank you to Ish. Tell them the website again.
It is rawhoneydrip.com. You can also hit up on Instagram, rawhoneydripper_elite. Send me messages there, whatever.
Okay, this is Intimate Conversations. Make sure y'all like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for all content exclusives. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like bell, all that good stuff. This is TaylorMade. That's Ish. And we up out of here.
Oh, come and talk to me. I really wanna meet you, girl. I really wanna know you.